Hello everybody, it's Tommy and welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be touring the Horn King's castle from the Black Cauldron. This is a massive 8-story build and I promised you guys a tour video, and now that the Underworld is complete, we can actually go through the entire thing. So definitely recommend checking out both the speed build of the castle itself and the Underworld first, just so that you can get even more detail, but I wanted to do a walkthrough anyway. This place, I would say it's a little bit harder to do like a tour than it was for previous ones, just because a lot of the walls are sort of like condensed together and it's very tiny through passageways and stuff like that, and there's a lot of stuff like cutting in and out of the walls, but I still wanted to maybe do it, and then we will do it for like future castles as well. So without further ado, let's get into it. So if you go up the stairs, which are sort of hidden behind these rocks for the most part, they are not as hidden as I would like them to be, but ideally I would just have like a different system of stairs regardless, but it just wasn't really possible with this build. But if you go through the front door, this is actually the main like throne room, living room, 2-bedroom area. So this is the entranceway into that main room. We're actually not going to go in there first. We are going to go off to the sides with like the small details here that this is the skull like signifier to let you know that this hallway down here is the one for Horn King's room. And then there's one over here to match that has that very similar looking statue from vampires that I mentioned that reminds me of Chernabog a little bit. So that is to let you know that Chernabog's room is actually that way. But we do have some small little things here. You'll notice when we are going through this castle that certain rock pieces and things are going to kind of disappear, and that's just something that happens with debug items when you are in this like first person mode. So they're all there, things are going to kind of shift in and out of view, but we're going to do the best that we can. And then you'll see that these are like these open corridors that you can look out and you can see the other stuff that we have built in this world so far, which is super dangerous. And you've got like all the thorns down here that you would definitely fall into and die. But it's kind of realistic, especially compared to what you would normally get for a castle like this. So this is what I was kind of talking about in the speed build, where I said that this really allowed for the build to have more dimension and that the details ended up being in the little things like this rather than in the furniture of the actual build. But we do have Horn King's room here, and he will be a spellcaster. I think I have to double check my notes, but his room, you know, like just with Chernabog's room, they don't really have too much personality outside of their individual goals. So I really had to just pull references for what I felt like would be the best idea. So like red for his character design, skeletons and skulls, maybe some stuff for his spellcastery, these objects from the Star Wars pack, that little one that reminds me of like his character, that's actually from the Nifty Knitting pack, which I think is funny. It's not like, what would it even be, a stuffed animal, right? And then yeah, you've got the same sort of idea with the drops out into the mountainside, very open and exposed. I tried to actually cover all of them, but still leave maybe like one here where he can kind of look out onto the mountainside. So yeah. And then if you go down this way, this is actually the ladder that leads to the kitchen, servants area, dungeon. And I chose a ladder because I just don't think they're going to go down there. Like, I think they would have servants and people that would do that stuff for them. So it's just not really necessary. So we're going to do like this deep ladder, and we will go down there later, obviously. But I also wanted to make sure there was a bathroom on this floor. So this is his door to this bathroom, which I guess technically is like a public bathroom that him and Chernabog would share, because there is another door on the other side. And if you go through that, we have the same situation with another ladder that leads down to the same area I just mentioned. And then Chernabog's room. Very different, black, darker. You've got these statues from vampires that are sort of hanging off of the rock archways, the fireplace that is a little bit more modern than I would have liked, but I think having some elements of fire in his room are super important, and I do know that he will be a vampire. So all of these are kind of just for show. He will be like the head vampire of the save file and kind of work as that character or NPC character. And then this is that little area that I had done in the speed build, which again, I have not had an opportunity to playtest quite yet. I usually wait until I have the characters done, and it's just like the replica of the village and the fire and some more like ominous types of things in that regard. So that is his room, same size as Horn King's, and really simple sort of bedrooms. And then yeah, this is the hallway that leads out towards the main area again, and you have the matching little corridor area. I don't know what these are called. They're just like the end bits on a castle that sometimes will have like spiral staircases in them to go upstairs and that kind of a thing. So if you do go through this main archway, you will be brought to what is basically going to be the living room for this castle, but it is a recreation of the scene from the Black Cauldron where they are all partying and singing and dancing, and then the Horn King enters and he comes to sit on his throne. So we have the very medieval looking throne sort of replica here, and we've got the little party area where everybody would sit and hang out and probably never clean, and then the flags that were shown, which I thought were so cool, so I wanted to make sure that they were here as well. And these flags are actually from the Star Wars pack. They might even be debug. If you do go through this archway, it is a double archway and there are two sets of stairs. They both go to the same spot, but it made sense for the space to kind of use it up this way. So we will go up to the next floor. So no matter what set of stairs you pick, this is what you will be walking into. There is a exact matching one on the other side. And this room is literally just a passageway. There's nothing really up here. It is just decorated to be like an open space, and kind of like how I mentioned in the speed build, I think that these upper levels are really just going to be exclusively for Chernabog. So I'm going to lock doors, maybe even like this door to get to the level above this one. You can walk around out here. It is very tight, and there's not any windows to like look out except for this front one, which again, very, very tight space. So it's just not a very functional area. These rocks are debugged, so you can actually just walk straight through them. Your Sims won't get trapped or anything. But it was something that was kind of important to have to make the castle look really, really big. Now, if you do go through this door to this main set of stairs, we will get to the next level of the castle. This is where it's going to get a little bit harder to see some things because it is just such a tight space and there are a lot of objects up here. So this mode just doesn't really serve it very well. But if you come up the stairs, you have the front part of these windows of the castle here. And then there are two exit ways off to either side, just kind of matching one another to bring you to what I think would be where people would sort of watch over the castle, and they might just make sure that no one's approaching and like form plans of attack and stuff like that. Lookout is the word I'm looking for. There are a couple of extra little castle-like rooms up here that just have basic seating and some instruments for Chernabog. Very, very old looking instruments, handcrafted, not done very well, if I am correct in saying so. That's like when you are the woodworking table, you can make instruments, but if you are low level, I think that's what they come out looking like. And then lastly, for the very top part of the castle, we have two ladders here that go up to the final room, and this rock here is from the Star Wars pack. It's a debug rock, so again, without playtesting the castle, theoretically you should be able to just walk straight through it. I will obviously remove it if it is not working. And then this last room is not working very well because, as you can see, the never-ending glitches of The Sims, the roof from these two peaks over here is coming through the castle wall, and I've tried so many times to redraw this room and fix it and do whatever, all sorts of tricks. It's just not working, so I'm just leaving it for now with the hopes that I will be able to fix it later on. I did have this problem with Sid's house as well, and I was able to fix it after a few weeks, so let's just hope and pray, but for now, I gotta leave it. And then we have the organ here, where Chernabog is going to play pretty much exclusively, which again is why I want to like lock the doors so you don't have the other characters coming up here to play instruments. This is really just a space for him at the highest point of the castle with the reference to him yet again. And this statue isn't actually on the Black Cauldron Castle. This is something that I have added to bring in a little bit of his character. Now, if we go back down to the ladders that were mentioned earlier through the bathroom, or not through the bathroom, they're through these hallways, but they are located next to the bathroom. I will bring us down to this bottom few floors, and this is also going to be a little bit tricky for perspective, but we will try our best. So, the ladders go through the foundation and all the way down to what I think would be like the first servants area, which is obviously just the kitchen, and you have a lot of the rocks from the mountainside kind of coming in here, which was totally intentional and really worked positively for the build, I feel like. But we do have more old school, like medieval, kind of classic cooking arrangements here with the cauldron, but also super helpful for like spellcasters. And then if we could just change ceilings, it really just kills the vibe for some of these builds. But we have to have like classic ways for regular human sims to cook, and even like vampire sims. So the refrigerators here, which now I'm looking at this, the spacing in here is not great. So I might have to move this forward a little bit and maybe this back a little bit. But yeah, we have the fireplace. This fireplace is actually from Snowy Escape, and it's just kind of covered in these outdoor retreat rocks to make it look like it fits into the space a little bit more. And some extra cooking spaces, just stuff that you have to have to make it functional for the Sims. Your trash. I think the only trash on the lot. I probably have to add like some exterior trash now that I think of it. And then we have this staircase here, and this leads to the dungeon. I think initially I wasn't really intending to build a dungeon for this, but it is part of the movie, and so I felt like it was necessary. And we will do another dungeon that will probably come out very similarly in other places. I could even maybe see doing it in Maleficent's castle. And it's basically just corridors that go down to different dungeon rooms. The dungeons are decorated with these stone slabs that are seats and you can nap on, so it would be horrible for those trying to fall asleep. And then we have like a toilet, the handcrafted one, in each of the cells with the knights here that are guarding each of them. And kind of like how I explained in the speed build, they are not functional because most of this is debug and your Sims will literally just walk right through it. And I wasn't really sure about what kind of doors to use and didn't think that any of the doors we had really worked super well. So they're kind of just for show. Maybe next time I'll try to do a little bit more of a functional space. And even that, we're going to have to fix a little bit because the rocks from the Underworld are coming up through. But we do have one area in here that is separate from the actual dungeon area. And that is just this room here for Pain and Panic, where, again, I'm going to have to replace the beds to, I think I want to pick something out that, like, represents their color and maybe do some references in here. So this is something that I actually have to change a little bit that I keep forgetting to do. But this is, like, the servants' room. And they do get the courtesy of their own bathroom with more rocks popping through the wall. I'm going to have to shift some rocks around, clearly. But they do have the courtesy of their own bathroom that doesn't have anything in it in particular, but it is a luxury of that kind. And you can even see that they have like a couple of things each that you would probably not see for anybody in the dungeon space. So servant's room, back through this corridor, and then actually if you go the opposite way to the servants' room, this is the door to the Underworld, and this door will be locked to everybody but Hades, Pain and Panic, and then obviously whoever you add in. And as soon as you enter, you can start to get little peeks of what is to come. So we will go down there. I actually think that this space is best like visually from the overhead view, with the walls down, but I will show you guys for like what it looks like with the walls up, because it's actually not much different. There's a little bit of a peeking wall over here, but I was really good about, for the most part, trying to cover up all of the walls that I could without it getting and looking a little bit too crazy. So I recommend playing with the walls down. I think that it creates the best look. But if you go through the stairs, they twist around to this area. So this is going to be hard to see, but this is the staircase that is twisting around down the stairs to the first level of the Underworld. And again, like I mentioned, things are disappearing. This staircase is actually fully to the floor. Just this perspective sometimes doesn't really allow for things like this. And then you can get some glimpses of the Underworld with the River of Styx. That is an actual river with little spirits in it, little ghosts. That it's kind of a corny idea, but I also thought it would be cool to use those down here. And there's not really much to say, especially because a lot of this is just for looks. This is the cliff that Hades jumps off of into this like pool for the river that he gets Meg's body out of. So this is like that cliffside with the separate little pool that is still, I'm sure, connected to the rest of everything else. And then the idea would be that it just keeps going. So this pathway going down into the rocks over here, this is obviously a much larger space than is being shown here. And it does have another floor. You will see that there is a floor. The stairs keep going down this way and twist around to this space. And this is below the river. So again, I recommend playing with the walls off. But it is Hades' actual bedroom where we have these glowing crystals from Realm of Magic, and it's a very similar idea, but it's more of the functional space with the dresser mirror, some seating in here, his throne area with the little Hades skeletons, and then this is actually supposed to be like a planning table for looking over Earth and casting spells and doing all that stuff. And then there's just like a small little seating area over here for whatever, you know, things that you have to have for your Sims to just like maintain happiness and needs and all of that. And your Sims should have no problem walking around down here. Like I said, I will play test everything and like move everything that isn't working. Also, so you can get the overhead view of this space. Really cool. I'm so happy with how this turned out. This object that is wrapping around is from Get to Work, and this is like a debug object that it looks so close to what they show for like the actual River of Styx. So I put it sort of around and tried to give the illusion that it is like infinitely swirling down into the depths. And if I could make a build with more levels, we would have kept going and kept going deeper and probably done like more caverns and weird stuff. But this is kind of the limit of the game, and so we are restricted in that way. But this is definitely my favorite part of the castle, if you can't tell. I am over the moon with how this came out, and I hope you guys enjoyed as well. So that is actually the end of today's tour video. And let me know what you thought of this so that I can do them again in the future for the next castle. And I will spoil it for those of you who stayed this long in the video. It is Maleficent's castle. That is the next one that we are going to be building. I actually think I've mentioned that, but we're going to be building that castle next. And I think she'll live alone. I have to kind of look and see, but it will be an even larger castle than this. And obviously be taken straight from the movie, so it'll be very different. And I'm excited to get going on that. Thank you all so much for watching. If you would like to support the Disney Save on Patreon, you can do so by clicking the link in the description box down below or the one at the end of the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more. Hit that little bell icon below to turn on post notifications so you can get updated every single time I post. And I will talk to you all in the next one.